Hey everyone, this is Shannon, of course. Just wanted to kind of give you guys an update. I kind of built a good skeleton for what our project is going to look like as we, obviously improve it and fix stuff and test it and all that. I actually recorded this video twice now, and the first time only one window was showing. The second time the audio got cut out for some reason. So this is literally my third time, and it's like 11:04 p.m. on a Saturday. So, um, so let's get started. I kind of wanted to show you first. So, Pokemon. Every Pokemon has their own name, of course. Each one also has their own number. So there's over 1,000 Pokemon right now. Each one with their own number. So Bulbasaur is Pokemon number 1, Ivysaur 2, so on. Pikachu, I know everyone knows Pikachu. Um, Pikachu's number 25. So list goes on and on. Some other, uh, what do you call it, attributes that Pokemon have. You have types. So a Pokemon can have one type or two types. Um, and here's a list of the types here. And then you have abilities. So abilities, kind of like types, Pokemon can either have one, they can have two or three. No, no less, no more. So 1 to 3 abilities every Pokemon's going to have. And then these stats. So every Pokemon is going to have these 6 stats. It just depends on which Pokemon, you know, alters these numbers. So, you have HP, you have attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed. Um, for instance, we look at Bulbasaur here. He's about 45 HP and 45 speed. And then, we look at Pikachu. Um, Pikachu has 35 HP and then 90 speed. So every Pokemon's kind of different. Well, a lot different. But, just kind of give you a basis just in case anyone doesn't know what Pokemon really is. That's kind of a main gist. And, really just applies to what we're actually doing in our program so far. So if you go to the repository, in the source file, I added 2 Python files. You can ignore the CLI test one. This is just pretty much the same program, but it does it all in CLI format. So if you did want to kind of test something without looking at the web application, feel free to use this one. The main.py is our actual program. And this actually works with an application called Flask that kind of combines Python files and HTML, makes it into a web application, and it kind of like transfers info between an HTML file and a Python file. The templates folder, that's just our HTML file, so our index is going to be our main one. This is just kind of one that I did as like a skeleton to kind of build it, so you can ignore it, feel free to test on it, or I pretty much just use this as like a junk drawer, pretty much. Static dash images is just a list of the Pokemon's pictures. So it's actually pulling from the API. I'm not too familiar with like files with web applications, so I just have this, being saved every time our API pulls the Pokemon's picture so that we can put it on our web application. I just had it auto downloading these, but if there's a better way that if we don't even need this, we could just get rid of it. We could look at that in other stints or something, or sprints, whatever it's called. But yeah, so that's what that folder is. So if we look at our program, I have mine in PyCharm. You'll notice at the top I have import Flask. So Flask is that application that combines HTML and Python. And then if you don't have this, same with requests. Request is what we use to work with APIs. If you don't have these two and they pop up with that red underline underneath it, all you have to do is right click it, and then you can download them, and it takes a few seconds. And then once that red underline goes away under these, then should be good to go. So I'll kind of show you what this application does. I'm going to run it first. So when you run it in Flask, what it does is it basically, like, again, you're kind of making a web application from a Python file. So it's just going to basically run your index HTML file on this IP address right here. So click that, it's going to open up in my browser. Obviously it looks really boring right now, which we'll adjust as time goes on. But pretty much this is a form, and we can enter either Pokemon name or Pokemon number. So, let's do Pikachu. So if I type in Pikachu here, I hit submit, boom. Okay, we have Pikachu's name, we have Pikachu's picture, Pikachu's type, abilities, and stats. Again, very basic, we can add to this. Or, we know Pikachu's number is 25. You can search that on the web. There's a lot of different websites you can use to kind of validate information as we're testing. If you want to do a test like, hey, assert true where Pikachu's type is electric. There's plenty of resources online that you can view this stuff on. But I could also do 25, and Pikachu's info will pop up again because he is the 25th Pokemon. Again, there's over 1,000. For instance, if I put 1,000, Godango shows up, and his type and his ability, his stats. So any Pokemon that you would type in here, it's gonna pop up. No. So when we look at our actual code, so again, importing Flask, importing requests for our APIs, we look at the class. So class Pokemon is going to be our class name here. And basically what it's doing is from the HTML file, it is in this form, it's basically reading this text input, and it's assigning this to Pokemon number. And what our program's doing, if we go down here, so it's basically reading this form for Pokemon number, and then it's making a Pokemon class. So, we're calling the Pokemon class, and we're passing through it the Pokemon number that was put in. Oops. And what the class is, so we start out, and this is the name or number. Again, we can search by name or number. What it's checking first is, okay, is that value that the user input, is that a number, is it numeric, is it a digit? If it is, it's basically declaring self number as that value, because we know, okay, that the user put in a number, so that's going to be the number of this Pokemon. I have it converting to a string just because it's going to make working with the API a lot easier, since we're basically combining the URL, the base URL with the modifier into an F string. If it's not a digit, obviously we know, okay, that's going to be the Pokemon's name. So we're basically using the API to call the Pokemon's name and find their number, and then it's assigning it that way. Then we have self name, which defaults to none. Types and abilities are both lists. That's gonna, they're just gonna default to an empty list. Stats is a dictionary, because again we have 6 stats for each Pokemon, so it's gonna be a dictionary where the keys are the stat names like attack, defense, HP. And then we have a self.image URL. That's just going to be the picture of the Pokemon that calls through the API. And then self.fetchData, so this is a big one. This is a function that's basically getting and filling in all these values. So what the API looks like, for those of you that don't know, pretty much, you'll notice how I have an F string here where it's going, this protocol, pokeapi.co/API/v2/Pokemon/ whatever the Pokemon's number or name is. So that is a cool thing about this API is, I could put in Pikachu, and all of this info is a lot, is going to show all of Pikachu's information. I could do the same thing and do Pikachu's number 25, same exact thing. So it's pretty flexible. You can work off of the Pokédex number or the Pokemon's name. I think it's a lot cleaner to do it by number, so I have that here. If you look at the 2 issues I posted in the repository that I closed out, that was one of them because it was kind of confused on, okay, is this the name or the number, and it was causing an error. Types, so what it does is basically, if you want to find the Pokemon's type, it basically, we're assigning the data variable basically to this JSON file in the API on whatever website. So if we look at types, I'll show you Bulbasaur just because Bulbasaur is the grass and poison type, where Pikachu just has one. And this is a list, so what it does is it basically pulls this file and it's looking for types right here. And it's going to read for every piece in type, so you could control F this, but I know it's at the bottom just since I've been working with this. Boom, so you have types. So slot 1, it's going to basically have a name of grass, and then we notice slot 2 is going to have a name of poison. So it's basically reading through this list, and anything with the attribute types, it's basically adding it to the list. So, we're adding grass and poison, and then I have it capitalizing automatically just because it looks better that way. Same with abilities. So abilities, they're actually conveniently the first thing in the list of every Pokemon. So basically what it does is it reads, okay, where is abilities? Okay, abilities is here. All right, let's see. First index, I have ability, name Overgrow. Okay. Second ability, I have the name Chlorophyll. And, if we pull up Bulbasaur here, those same abilities. So we have Overgrow, we have Chlorophyll, and boom. So that's correct. Boom, boom, boom. Same with the stats. That's just reading through a dictionary. And the image is, again, an API based on the Pokemon's number. This is the only thing that you can't, it's not flexible on number and name. You can only put number here. So if I want to get Bulbasaur's picture, I go 1, boom, pulls up that picture. 1,000, Golden Go. Excalibur, right? 98. So, it's pretty. And there's a lot of other pictures you can do too. Like if you wanted to get like the back image of a Pokemon or just a different sprite, there's other things in this API that you can use. But I just figured just this basic, front picture of them would suffice for our program. But we can get creative. So that's pretty much it. I'll spare you guys the details. I know my voice is not the most entertaining. But yeah, so we can start to develop some test cases, and I'll throw some links underneath this as well, just to kind of give you access on, if anyone doesn't know Pokemon or you do, just giving you links to, that way when we do get into the testing, you can make sense of what we're testing for and what we can validate info with. So yeah, thanks everyone.